readjust if you need to. And if you're feeling like things are loosening up here, you can actually shift your body around, allowing that ball to dig a little bit deeper into that muscle that you're working on. So for me, since I'm on my right shoulder, I'm actually turning into the tennis ball, pushing my body into it a bit deeper and allowing my body to melt fully into the ball again, allowing release in that specific spot. Nice. And if you're finding it difficult to stay with your breath here, I encourage you to use some numbers, some counting to guide you through it. Breathing in for 2, holding for 2, and then releasing fully. Good, we're here for 2 more breaths. One more. Good, and now from here, if you're feeling comfortable in this area, you can actually roll on your ball just by moving your body slightly. So rolling out is a popular way to improve, what's the word? Recovery, there it is, recovery after exercise or after using muscles repetitively. So rolling is really useful if your muscles are maybe prone to becoming tight, if you know that you've been lifting something heavy, if you've been sitting in the same position or posture all day, or if you've done some rigorous exercise. Rolling out specific muscle groups is really helpful in recovery. So we're going to do some of that just to continue to loosen up whatever area we're working on. And like I said, I'm just moving my body back and forth. You can start moving side to side, just gently shifting your weight on top of the tennis ball now to practice rolling out that muscle. And so a version of rolling that we already talked about is using your palm to push the tennis ball back and forth around your body. So I encourage you to practice that now. If you've practiced releasing tension here in your shoulder, you can start to move down the shoulder here or onto the chest, starting to move into the surrounding areas now. Good, just stimulating that area to increase blood flow, get some heat in that area. Again, all of these things are improving that muscle group's chances of recovery. And release, of course. Somatic exercise and stretching is all about release. Now let's go ahead and push back to that area that we're focusing on. So for me, again, it's between my neck and my right shoulder. So I'm rolling between those 2 areas. And with our neck, like I said, it's a super sensitive area, especially our neck. Since we do have a lot of nerve endings here in our neck, we want to be super gentle so we're not pushing too hard at all. Just nice and gentle, applying a deep pressure, but not aggressive, to wherever we might find some tightness. Good, and again, applying the ball now, rolling down, either on the top of the arm or across to the chest, the surrounding area. One more time. skull at the top of our neck and put our head slightly up and behind us to lay our head and rest the top of our neck on top of this ball. Again, the neck is a sensitive area, so if you're feeling like this ball is sticking a little too deep and it feels a little too oppressive on the back of your neck here, feel free to sub it in for a block or a pillow, a blanket or a towel, something softer that will still allow you to have that same arch at the top of your neck here, still creating that same shape, because our goal still is to allow our posture to melt into this shape, this ball, and melt around it. So as you're laying on top of this tennis ball, your shoulders are pushing back and down. And again, the top of your head is pushing up and back. So your nose is up toward the ceiling and your gaze is slightly behind you here. And it's just a gentle pull, but it's enough that it's starting to create some tension between your lower back actually and the top of your head, just by putting this ball here. So you may start to notice that your hips and your lower back are starting to kind of sink forward. Maybe it feels like your head is sinking back, almost as if a string is pulling at the base of your spine and the top of your head, creating distance between those 2 points to lengthen the spine and again open that chest, bringing the shoulders back here. So we're here for about 1 more minute, still continuing those breaths deeply into the nose, holding in the diaphragm, and then releasing fully from the mouth. Great job. My knees are still up here, but if you're feeling like the hips are getting a little tired or need some extra support, feel free to use a block on either side of the hip, or just gently pedal the hips, move the hips side to side to distribute the weight for some gentle hip openers as we remain here for about 30 more seconds, continuing our breaths. Pushing the top of the head back and the base of the spine forward. Excellent. We're here for 2 more breaths. Good. 1 more breath. My hands are here at my hips. So that I can find my center again. And then I'll release my palm, just turning my neck to one side and slipping that tennis ball out. Just place that to the side of your mat because we're going to stay here with our knees up and heads back for a moment. So let's go ahead and just melt into our mat for 1 breath. Checking in with the shoulders and neck specifically, seeing how things are feeling here before we start stretching those areas. So somatic stretching is a time where we're really deliberately, really intentionally stretching areas that are tight without causing further pain. So at this time, if you notice that there's tension when you're stretching, we're going to stop, reposture ourselves, reset, and restart that stretch so that it's not causing any pain in that area. So when you're stretching areas that are tight, that's always a good rule of thumb. If you're finding yourself in any type of pain or discomfort, it's always good to reset, reestablishing our posture. So here we're just finding our center, and on our next exhale, we're going to bring the arm up and across our side. So my right arm comes up slightly, and then as I exhale, my left arm is going to push at my right elbow and push that resetting if needed by putting those hands at our hips and breathing through for a gentle lift, then a gentle push, stretching over to that opposite side. Good, we're here for 2 more breaths. Deep exhales, continuing to push, deepen that stretch as we exhale. One more time. And then as we inhale, let's bring the arm back up and hands back to the hips. Great job. Coming back into our hip openers to release any tension here in the hips. And then as we exhale, we'll land towards one side. Good. Turning our body to that side and stretching whatever hand is underneath of us now out in front of us. So since I turn toward my right side, my right hand is outstretched to my side here. Good. We're going to hold this for just a minute, check in with that hip. My other hand, my opposite hand, is resting on top of the shoulder that's beneath me. So my left hand is on top of my right shoulder here. Good, and this is a really gentle stretch. We're going to lead from the chin here. So maintain that hand on your opposite shoulder that's beneath you to keep that shoulder stabilized so that the shoulders remain square toward the wall you're facing. As you lift from the chin, slightly up, and then back towards that opposite shoulder so that you're creating space between the right ear and the right shoulder if you're on the right side, or vice versa if you're on the left. Your chin is turning to meet the side that's up towards the ceiling. So since I'm on my right side, my chin is turning towards my left shoulder, my gaze is behind me towards my left. And I'm stretching from the top of the head, lifting from the chin to create space between the right ear and the right shoulder here. Good, a gentle neck stretch here, holding for one more breath. And then exhaling, turning again from the chin back down to neutral. Ensuring those shoulders are square, and then lifting, good, back to our hips. Hands come back to the hips where we're coming back into our hip openers, checking in with that right hip. We're here for one breath, and then as we exhale, we're turning now towards the opposite side, nice and slow. Checking in with that left hip. Usually one hip tends to be tighter than the other. So for me, that's my left hip. It's usually the one that you choose to wait for a second. So that might be true for you as well. So let's check in as we align the hips here. We're turning towards this side. And then we're outstretching the opposite arm. I'm turning towards the left, so my left arm is falling toward my front. Outstretching those fingertips. My gaze will follow, so I'm looking beyond my left fingertips here. So that my shoulders will be prompted to be square, where my opposite hand at the top will come fall to my shoulder that's at the bottom. So my right hand is going to fall toward my left shoulder now to ensure that my shoulders are square toward the wall I'm facing. Good, and from here, inhaling to turn the head back, leading from the nose, the chin, lifting from the chin. Good. So that we're now looking behind us toward the opposite side again and creating space between now the left ear and the left shoulder. Still, my right hand remains on top of the left shoulder, ensuring those shoulders stay square. I'm not allowing my shoulder to fall toward the side to turn back toward the wall. Good, and then on our next inhale, we'll release the hips back to center, hands back to the hips, continuing those hip openers nice and gentle, checking in with that other hip. And typically the side that we choose second is the tighter of the two sides. So I'm going to give you an extra moment here to check in and really gently shift the weight between the left and right hip to find our center here. This is important because we want to establish now proper engagement of our core. So as we land in our center, we're going to start to engage the core just by keeping the knees up, the hips square, hands are still here kind of at our home base today, hands here at the hips. Good, and to start to engage the core, all we're going to do is just gently tuck that tailbone in, almost as if we're prepping to come up into a bridge pose, but not lifting the lower back or hips at all. Just very gently establishing that posture so that we can ensure the core is engaged here. So as you tuck that tailbone, you can even move your hands up to your core, to your stomach, and feel the difference that makes, especially in your lower stomach. And starting to establish engagement through the core here. And it sets us up for the next step of this engagement, which is to allow the belly button to kind of push down into the spine here. So we should feel that our lower back and mid back are making a bit more contact with our mat here. We feel our muscles in our stomach tighten slightly as we breathe. Good, and we feel those hips are engaged as well when we're slightly tucking that tailbone in. Good, now that our core is engaged here, we're ready to come up into an easy seat. So go ahead and choose a side to land towards, using your palm to push you up, taking it nice and slow to come right into your easy seat. So my hands are going to come here to my knees, and I'm not going to focus at all right now on my shoulder posture, but instead on my core and that same engagement, just gently tucking the tailbone here. Hands are here at the knees to guide me to push that belly button in towards the spine. Good, so that both the hips and core are engaged now, so that as we come up into our easy seat, we're setting ourselves up with good posture, so that we might set ourselves up to stretch through our somatic stretching with our shoulders. So again, we want to be really sure that we're not causing any discomfort or pain here, especially through the neck. So establishing this posture through the lower body is really important. If you need to sway side to side, find your center here. We'll be here for 2 more breaths to do that, ensuring that our core is engaged and that our hips are square. Good. On our next inhale, we're going to bring the hands up to the shoulders and start to lift the upper body now. So lifting almost from the heart, is still imagining that string visualization is really helpful. The string pulling you up from your chest, right from your heart. Starting to lift from the chest allows us to push those shoulders back and down slightly. And having our hands here at our shoulders guides us to push those elbows back just a bit. Good. And push those shoulder blades together just slightly. Excellent. We're here for 1 more breath. Still maintaining that engagement through the hips and core here. And then we're lifting is just stretching up. Wrist is coming up to meet the ear. And then a deep exhale to come right back down. Let's shift from the elbow now in some small circles, drawing some small circles back from the elbows. Good. To recenter, re-engage that upper body. Again, imagining that visualization, the string pulling you straight up. Great. We're here at our center again. On our next inhale, we're again lifting from that left elbow. Wrist is coming up to meet the left ear. Good. Opening up the side of the left shoulder here. We'll just hold this for a moment. This is an easy one to overcompensate through the mid back and waist. So ensure that you're not letting that side drop, but instead keeping that core and hips engaged through this movement, lifting from the elbow. Excellent. We're here for one more breath. Gentle exhale back down and straight into those small circles leading from the elbows here. Good. As we continue to stretch through the side and back of our shoulders, we're going to drop the hands now to either side, back to our knees. Good. Where we're going to still imagine that string pulling us up, lifting now just gently from our chin so that our noses are slightly up. Gaze is slightly up, slightly above us, but still forward. Good. Keeping that tailbone tucked slightly. Belly button is pushing back into the spine here. Because we're going to lift from both of our hands, I'm going to start by just stretching my hands over my knees toward my front. Then turning my thumbs up. And then as I inhale, I'll lift both sides together. Good. My gaze is still slightly up. It remains the same as I lift both fingertips toward the ceiling. So we're going to hold this for about 3 breaths. That's kind of the magic number in somatic stretching. And again, somatic stretching is meant to really intentionally stretch any muscle groups that are tight. So today, since we're working on our shoulders and neck, the goal here is that we're keeping good posture and stretching very specifically into that space. So we're continuing to focus through that posture, those different checkpoints that we talked through, tucking the tailbone, pushing the belly button into the spine, lifting from the chest. Chins are up slightly, and then extending those fingertips up to the sky. Good, we're here for one more breath. Feel free to relax and reset if you need to. Reestablishing that posture as we're noticing any discomfort. As we exhale, one hand is going to come down to the back of the neck between the shoulder blades. The opposite hand is going to come to the top of that elbow that we just bent down, pushing those fingertips a little deeper between the shoulder blades here. Again, feel free to relax and reset at any time. If your shoulders and neck especially are feeling any discomfort or pull, we're going to hold this for 3 breaths as well. Breathing deeply and remembering those checkpoints, keeping that chin up slightly to protect our necks here. Good. On our next exhale, we're again lifting those fingertips up toward the ceiling. I'm going to stay here for one more time. If you need to relax and reset and bring those arms down at any time, feel free to do so. We're going to continue lifting up toward the ceiling. Chins are up slightly so that our gaze is slightly above us. And then exhaling, bringing the opposite hand between the shoulder blades to the back of the neck. And other hand pushes gently at the top of the elbow there. Checking in with those checkpoints. Tailbones are tucked. Belly button pushing into the spine. Lifting from the chest. And chins up slightly. Continuing as we exhale to push those fingertips between the shoulder blades. Stretching through the side and back of our shoulders here. Good, we're here for one more breath. And as we exhale, we're bringing those arms back up toward the ceiling, where we're going to hold for 3 more. You can do it. And somatic stretching, some shakiness is totally normal, totally fine. But always be wary if you're finding any discomfort or pain through the neck here. Feel free to relax and reset. As we exhale, we're coming back the same way we started. Thumbs up, hovering over the knees here. Then coming back to our knees, we're back to our easy seat where we started, where we're reestablishing our posture. You can sway side to side here. Checking into the neck, we can turn our chin toward either shoulder. So turning our chin to meet our left shoulder to stretch the right side of the neck. Checking in there. We could turn our chin toward our right shoulder. Just a time to check in, especially with the neck. Good, shifting the shoulders here. We can always bring the hands back and draw those circles with our elbows. Similarly to our hip openers, this is a great way to find your center again. Check in with how those joints are feeling. Great job. And once you're feeling like you're back in a posture that's comfortable and feels safe for you, if you're able, go ahead and turn towards one side. So your chest is turning toward your right side. My left hand is going to meet my right knee. And then my right hand is going to come right behind me to open my body now toward the right side. So my shoulders are now square with the right side that I'm turning towards. The elbow behind me, my right elbow, is super loose. I'm not locking it at all, I'm keeping it bent. And I'm not pushing too far back, just enough to keep those shoulders square with my right side. Just a gentle push here with the left. Again, just to make the chest square with my right side. Good, we're here for one more breath. And then we're exhaling back to center, hands back to the knees here. Good, rechecking in for 2 breaths. On our next inhale, we're shifting our weight again to that side so that our chest is turning toward our left. Right hand comes to the left knee, and left hand stretches behind me, opening the chest again toward the left side. Good, we're here for one more breath. Nice and gentle with that back elbow. And then a deep exhale to bring us back to center, where we're going to center ourselves and check in with that tailbone and head, especially now. Let's go ahead and bring those knees up and feet to the front. Nice and gentle, nice and slow. Good, and we're gonna start to stretch through the back of our shoulders by walking the fingertips up toward the ankles or shins. Keeping that chin up slightly so we're not tucking the chin here. Typically in a river pose you would tuck your chin, keep your head down. We're keeping our heads slightly up as we stretch here so that the focus instead is on our shoulders, and that's where we're keeping the tension here in this stretch. As we walk those fingertips up, our chin continues to face toward the front so that our gaze is at our toes. And we're especially stretching through the shoulders. So imagine kind of that we're hunching the shoulders just slightly and creating space between the shoulder blades here. Almost the same sensation we would feel in a cat-cow pose. Just creating that space between the shoulders, a slight pull. Stretching the back of the shoulders here, especially the shoulder blades. We're here for one more breath, and then as we inhale, we walk those hands back up and place our palms on either side of our hips. Great job. We're finishing up our sequence tonight. We have a few more poses to do. And we're going to come back to lay to do them. So let's go ahead and lift from the knees. And gently bring the body down. Onto the forearms. Hands back. Eyes, you can come straight into those hip openers. Hands again can come here to the hips, the top of the hips, to guide them. So that we can land here in center. Good, and on our next exhale, we're going to stretch the hands past the ears and up behind our backs. Good, keeping the hands first facing each other so that the palms are facing one another here. Good, that's helpful in keeping the shoulders square here. And then if you're feeling comfortable, you can start to relax the wrists and elbows so that the palms are now facing up toward the ceiling. Where we're going to continue stretching through the front of the shoulders and neck here. Melting those elbows and wrists down. That prompt allows us to relax our arms fully so that our stretch is focused on stretching from the shoulders specifically. Still noticing any pain here so that we can recenter. This one is a really easy one to create tightness between the neck and shoulders, that area that I've been working specifically on tonight. So prompting ourselves to relax the wrist and relax the elbows here is helpful in ensuring those shoulders stay open, that we're really keeping those armpits facing upward, not closing them in at all. We're here for one more breath. Good, and then the arms are coming back up. And palms together started prompting ourselves to relax the shoulders by prompting our wrist and elbows to be relaxed here. Excellent. Checking in with those checkpoints just one last time. Tucking that tailbone slightly. Belly buttons are back. Lifting from the chest. And chins are up slightly. Relaxing the wrist, relaxing the elbows. If you'd like to include your tennis ball here as we finish in Savasana this evening, this is a good time to bring that tennis ball back out. And again, relax it underneath any area that you might be experiencing some muscle knots or tightness. Melting into that ball, allowing your muscle to relax around it. Always, if it's digging too deeply, something softer can do exactly the same thing. Just prompting your posture to relax around that object. We'll finish our meditation here this evening. And I'll come around with some lavender spray to start to wake you up, get you ready to go back into the world, hopefully a little calmer and more relaxed than when you started this evening. And of course, I'll open the floor if you have any prayer requests that you'd like to share this evening.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
My complete pleasure.